All right, we should be live here. Let me take a look really quick. And all right, we are live. All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to some more live hacking here. We're going to continue with that Devel box we had started on last time around. And we'll see if we can get that one. We were pretty close. I think I might have realized what I was doing wrong before. What I think, the reason why I think it wasn't, hey, what's up, Rudakash? What's up, man? I recently switched around my my setup here, so I got it with the city in the background now. So hopefully you guys like this. Let me know what you think of the new rearrangement I did here. I think it's a cooler view for you guys to check out while I'm doing this. So yeah, we're gonna continue on with the box from last week. We were pretty close to getting that shell. We found some. We found that we were able to write using that anonymous FTP account, and we were able to actually execute those files. I think the issue was when I uploaded that ASP shell, I didn't put it in binary mode, so I think that's why it wasn't running properly. So that's an adjustment I'm going to try to make, and we'll see if we can get it working this time around. So let's go ahead and continue on here. So this is the way. Well, okay, first of all, I need to start up this box, unhack the box. I'm pretty sure it's not online right now, but the quick way that I like to check for the IP address, validate the IP address, I just say look at the first line of nmap, like my nmap scan, and I can find it there. But let me just go ahead and start up the box here first, and then I can test that we can connect to it before we continue on here. And we're probably gonna need to regenerate our payload anyways, because most likely it changed my IP address. I mean, I can check, but for whatever reason, it's been resetting my IP address like every time I've been logging on here. So, hey, cool. No one else has ownership over this, thankfully, so we don't have to worry about that issue this time. We can go back to that other box maybe that we tried to do last week that someone else had ownership for. We need to reset it. But yeah, we'll see how long this one takes us to get. I don't foresee it taking too long, but sometimes you never know with these boxes. Same thing with OSCP, like sometimes the exploits can be a little finicky. Now there is another thing that I realized, right, with this exploitation stuff. After doing a little more research on OSCP, at least online, so take that with a grain of salt. It wasn't from the OSCP site, but I'm pretty sure I remember offensive security saying this. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I am about 99% sure that you're actually allowed to use the Metasploit handler, so you can spawn Meterpreter shells, because I know for a 100% fact that you can use MSF Venom, which is the payload generator, the Metasploit payload generator. You can use that as much as you want. I know that for a fact. So also, I believe after doing some Googling that you can actually use the Meterpreter payload for that as much as you want. So you can use the multi-handler. It's just that you can't use like Metasploit, like exploits or recon or anything like that more than one time on the exam. But you're actually allowed to use the Metasploit handler as much as you want. So we're gonna go ahead and use that for this time around. Full screen? Oh, okay, yeah. So for full screen, oh yeah, thanks, Rocky. Yeah, I think this is definitely a more interesting view for you guys. So yeah, I wanted to switch things around here since I'm doing a lot of video content lately. The only problem during the day, it doesn't look that good because the lighting is tricky because it's really bright in the background, so I'm really dark. I mean, I have this ring light in front of me, but even still, I'll have to figure that part out. But yeah, at night, it's a pretty cool view, I think. But yeah, to answer your question, how do you make your Kali Linux full screen? When you first install it, like depending if you're using VirtualBox or VMware, you have to download something called VirtualBox Guest Editions, or if it's VMware, it's like what's called like VMware Tools or something like that. So it's like a disk that you just insert. Oh, right here. See, insert guest editions CD image. So it'll connect the image as like it'll show up in your devices here, and then it'll have like an install script that you run. You just run that, and it installs it. And then the next time you start up your box, it'll you'll be able to full screen it like this. So yeah, VirtualBox. Yeah. So just go up to devices and insert this guest edition CD image. And it'll have an installer for Linux and for Windows, whatever you need. Obviously, in the case of Kali, you use the Linux one. You just run it. You run the script, and then it installs everything. And then once you boot it up again, you'll be good. So let's see if we can connect to this. It should definitely be accessible at this point. Cool. All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna restart the exploit. We're gonna do this exploit again. Yeah, no problem, man. Yeah, feel free, and guys, feel free to ask questions at any point. That's one reason that I like doing these live streams. You ask me whatever, and we'll work through here. Yep, exactly, Rocky. If you're using VMware, you just install VMware Tools. Basically the same concept there. But yeah, let's see. Let me pull up my command for this MSF Venom. So since we are going to use the interpreter handler, we're going to use the payload Windows, because this is a Windows box, as we saw. This is running IIS. We'll do interpreter, and I wish I could tab auto complete this part, but can't really. Reverse TCP. Yeah, we need to find out what our IP address is, because it probably changed. Yeah, and yeah, sure enough it did. So we're 1426 this time around. So that will be the L host. Now L host, that's for like your listener host. So if you're having trouble remembering, if you're having trouble remembering or like distinguishing between L host and R host when it comes to the Metasploit sort of terminology, like L host is like, I'm not sure if it's local host or what was I gonna say? Or a listener host, but yeah, whichever one you want to think of. But our host is for sure, it's a remote host. So remote host is always like the host that you're attacking. So L host is gonna be like our IP address. That's where it's gonna go. So put that there. And then L port is like whatever port we want to listen on. This is completely up to us. Let's just use 1, 2, 3, 4. And dash F, we'll give it a file type. Yeah, for sure, man. I've been talking about the Discord server thing for a little bit now. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Let me see if I can set that up this week, and I'll be sure to let you guys know. I'll be linking it in my videos and stuff so you guys can join. But yeah, I think that's a good idea as well, especially because a lot of us are interested in like the offensive security space, OSCP. We can have different channels where we can discuss OSCP or even non-OSCP related stuff, general pen testing questions or maybe some bug bounty stuff. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. I think it would be pretty cool as well. So yeah, now it's just whatever we want to call it. I think we can call this shell.asp maybe, or I think ASPX is what we want. Misspelled that, but yeah, this command should be what we want. So if we weren't sure of what payload we wanted to use, I said this last week, but in case you guys missed it, if you weren't sure what payload you want to use, you can do a -L for list and then payloads, and it'll list all the payloads that you have available. Same thing here with you don't know what file, like what formats are supported. You could do -L formats. It'll list all of those options as well. So let me just make sure this is what we want. Oops. Is that? Let's see. Yeah, I mean, based on here, it looks like it like completed successfully. So let's try this out. It was 10 10 10 5, I think, right? Yeah, okay. All right, so first thing, I'm gonna type binary to put it into binary mode. That is what I did not do last time. And let's go ahead and put shell.aspx. And okay, so now that we've done that, we'll do this down here. I always start off, what is it? MSFDB run. That's how I like to start Metasploit, because that way it'll start the database stuff first. Now, we're not going to be using Metasploit for searching for exploits, really, most likely. But this is just a habit I get into, because if you want to search for something and you don't have the database running, which if you run MSF console, it's not going to start up the database. So your searches are going to be way slower. But if you start it with this command, then it'll start up the database first. So anything you want to search, you'll find it way faster. So that's just a habit I've gotten into. But basically what we want to do is we want to use exploit multi-handler. Is it dash handler? Or is it, I think it's like this. Yeah. So that's the command. And then we gotta put in our, so this is basically a listener. So if you think back to like when we used netcat as our listener, this is basically the same thing, but our payload that we generated, if you remember, the payload we used was Windows Meterpreter reverse TCP. So that Meterpreter part means that it's a Meterpreter payload. So Meterpreter is a payload that is exclusive to MSF console. Like it's a Metasploit payload, which you can use. Like I said, you can use this as much as you want on the OSCP. That's why I'm using it here. But yeah, it is specific to Metasploit. So the only way that we can connect back to that Meterpreter and get that Meterpreter shell is to do it in Metasploit. So essentially what I'm doing right here, it would be the equivalent to like whenever you see me do netcat lvnp 1234, right? So I'm basically setting up a listener from Metasploit so that when I exploit when I exploit this, I've uploaded it already to the site up here. I've uploaded my shell. That exploit there, whenever we trigger that payload, it's going to connect back to this listener, right? So let's set up the listener. DNS spoofing. Yeah. Oh, you're talking about more man-in-the-middle stuff? I could branch off to that at some point. I'm trying to keep the content a little bit more focused right now on the OSCP stuff, but I can also make some videos like that, like maybe once a week or something. Yeah, if you guys want to see more like man-in-the-middle attack type stuff, yeah, I can do that. Let's see. So yeah, we're gonna set lhost to our IP address first off, and then the port that we want to remember. This actually does matter. The port does matter this time, right? Because on the exploit, we said to try and connect on port 1234, so we must listen on that port in order to get the connection back. So I'm just going to run options again just to verify that that stuff's there, and it is. So now I can just say run, and it's just going to be listening. At least, yeah, it should be. And then basically the way that I'm going to trigger this, let's see, I think it should be good now. So the way I'm going to trigger this is by going to it in the, just browsing to it. That's how I'll execute it. Yeah. If you guys are interested in that, I'd be down to do it. Yeah, we can make some pretty cool content off that. I also have a pineapple. I don't know if you're familiar with that device, but I want to play around with that a little more because you can do some really cool stuff. Maybe I make some videos on that as well. The pineapple like Wi-Fi hacking thing, you know, create like rogue access points and all kinds of crazy stuff. So this is how we ran our payload essentially. And yep, you see when we do that, we get this command shell 1 opened. So let's see if we can interact with this. Okay, it closed. That's weird. Let's try this again. We need to reset this. It did connect back though. I don't know what happened there with it, but yeah, the Hack 5 device. Yeah, Wi-Fi pineapple. Yeah, I want to play around with that a little more. I think it could be some cool videos off of that too. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to find binary Python on target machine. Yeah, I've never gotten this error before. It's kind of weird. Yeah, normally the Metasploit payloads are pretty straightforward. But yeah, there's something weird going on with my handler because I think normally I get a different view as well. Let me check my notes, see if I have anything on this. I don't think that I'm forgetting anything. Because what should happen when this starts is it should say like, it should look like this. It should show like Meterpreter, like this, showing that I have like a Meterpreter shell. But yeah, I'm not seeing that this time. What is it? So no active sessions. Maybe there's some issue with our payload. But it did actually connect to begin with. Maybe, here, let me give this a second. I don't think it's going to do anything else from here. This should be like all I need to do to start it up. So, I think this part is right. We'll try this one more time. If not, we can go back to the drawing board on the payload. What if I just sit here? It seems like anytime anytime that I've been trying to send anything over from this point is when it's been closing down the shell on me. But yeah, I'm not getting that Meterpreter prompt that I would expect. All right, well, let's go back to drawing board on this payload then. And let me check something else real quick. Maybe if I instead of, when I'm generating the payload, I wonder if instead of doing it like this, if I just do it with the -O flag, maybe generate it like this. But no, I don't think it's anything wrong with the payload because it actually did connect. I wonder if there's something going on with my Metasploit. We can try it with the normal shell then if it's not working. But yeah, if I was doing it, just so you know, if I was doing it on OSCP, I would definitely do it with the Meterpreter shell just because it's a way better shell to have. Now, it is a lot larger size of the payload if you're using a Meterpreter shell, so there are some situations where you can't use a Meterpreter, but I don't think that's the issue here. Let me just remove this so I don't get confused. But yeah, we'll go back to the FTP thing here. Actually, let's call it something different because we already uploaded that. So we'll call this shell2.aspx. All right, so now we can go to FTP. Oops. Connect with that anonymous. Well, I said I didn't think this would take long, so that's why it's gonna take long, I guess, right? The curse of demoing stuff. Shell2, yeah, here we go. Oh no, we didn't set it to binary. Hang on. I don't wanna. I wanna make sure that that's not a potential issue. We'll call it shell3. So okay, we'll come back here. Anonymous, and we'll set binary first, and then we'll upload this. All right, so now that we've done that, let's just check our options here, make sure everything looks good, and yep, looks fine to me. Oh, here's an interesting thing, right? Payload options. I think this is the issue. I think I realized the issue. I don't think the issue was anything that we just did here differently. I'm just noticing something here. It says that in the module options we have the payload set as exploit. Well, not here. Sorry. Payload options generic shell reverse TCP. That is not the payload we generated here, so that's why it's doing that, right? We had the correct information here, which is why it connected. But the problem is we are listening for our listener is just a generic shell reverse TCP, but our payload is a interpreter payload, right? So those aren't matching up. So that's the issue. So we need to actually set payload Windows interpreter. Uh-oh. No, my VM froze. I've been having this trouble every once in a while. Oh, it unfroze. Okay, I don't have to restart the whole thing like I did last week. Reverse TCP. Okay, this should be good here. Now, see, I'm glad I checked the options. It's always good to really look at all the text on the screen sometimes, because you'll be on OSCP or something like that, and you'll be struggling through something which you did pretty much got everything correct, but there's just one small detail on the screen that's like screwing you over. So yeah, always make sure that you really pay attention to what it says there. So I think this should solve the issue, but we'll see. We'll run this. And just to really see, we'll run the same payload as before, not even the one we just generated. We'll do this one. Okay, it says interpreter session open this time. I don't think it said that last time, though I could be wrong. Yep, okay, that's what I was looking for. That's what I was expecting. So I like to run in the get UID command first to see some information here. We got the server username, and is who am I built into here? I don't think so. Let's see what it's been a while since I ran the interpreter command, so kind of nice to have a refresher here. I think I have some notes on this stuff as well, but pull it up where you guys can see. If we run the shell command, we can drop into a system command shell. But there's normally some pretty useful stuff that you can run here before you do that. Now you can also do a lot of, like, you can navigate around and stuff using this here. You can even migrate your process to another process and all that kind of stuff. But it's been a while since I used this, so let me just see if there's anything that should probably run here. I mean, there's a lot of useful ones like netstat. You can see network connections. Now, obviously on Hack the Box, nothing is like dual nicked, so there's not going to be any pivoting really from here. But in the OSCP labs, I'd be looking at the NICs to see if it has access to some other network. Then we can use this box to pivot into the other network. Pretty interesting stuff. sysinfo. Here's a good one. That's the one I was thinking of. I couldn't, off the top of my head, remember. But this is a good Windows command to run. This is like, obviously we're running it through Meterpreter here. The Windows command equivalent to this would be systeminfo, I believe. But yeah, sysinfo. It takes a minute to run usually, but it'll come back with a lot of stuff. Well, this might not come back. This might have some errors. But if we drop into a shell, we should be able to run systeminfo and get most of the same ones, unless the shell dies. This is the kind of problems that you'll have to deal with a lot on OSCP, especially, like even more so on OSCP than Hack the Box. Believe it or not, you'll have your shells die a lot. Sometimes it's intentional on the OSCP boxes. There'll be like some kind of firewall that'll kill your connection, and you got to figure out a way around it, and little annoyances like that. So, yeah, there's all that stuff that's really annoying to deal with. Let's try this. Start this up again. So since we do have this Meterpreter shell, something we can run is the what's it called? The exploit suggester. There's a really good script to run. It's a post module, a really good module to run on Windows boxes, especially because there's a lot of privs scripts that you can run that can elevate our. I want to see what level of access we have. I'm assuming we don't have the highest level. Okay, yeah, so this is listening now, so let's go ahead and reconnect here. Take 5 on this one. But, okay, let's see, because it basically died before, let's try to run that. Okay, yeah, that didn't take a minute to run, that was instant. Okay. Let me see a little bit of information here about the system. This is a Windows 7 machine, okay. And it is a 32-bit system, 32-bit architecture here. So knowing this, we can look for some privesc off of this, but this will be a really manual way to do it, but we can use that exploit suggester, and it'll take this information here and based off that recommend exploits for us. I'll show you that in a minute, but first I'll do this. See here, we actually found one off exploitdb for privilege escalation pretty much right away. So this is definitely a potential one that we could run. So this is what is this? A C file, I think. This is a C program is what it looks like to me. So we would just need to get this. We need to compile it as a Windows binary, like as an executable binary, upload it to the system, and then run it. I mean, to make sure it's a 32-bit executable, though, is what we'd need to do so that we could run it on this system. But I'll show you an even easier way. Just know this is like the really manual way to do it. And no, I don't know for a fact that this is going to work, but I'm pretty sure because I saw somewhere that it said vulnerable software Windows 7, and it called out the specific build we had. One of these. It was one of these. I think like this one maybe. One of these two here. It actually called out specifically. Yeah, 7600. So yeah, I'm pretty confident that this would work. But I'll show you another way to do it as well. For my notes here. So the first thing you want to run is a Meterpreter command. Let's see. You plan on using Metasploit on the OSCP. Okay, let me clarify something, Rob. So what I'm using here is the Meterpreter. I have a Meterpreter shell. You're allowed to have a Meterpreter shell as much as you want on the OSCP. So the payload that I generated was using MSF Venom. And you're allowed to use MSF Venom as much as you want to generate payloads. One of the payloads that you can generate is a Meterpreter payload, and you're allowed to use the Meterpreter payloads as much as you want. So, that does leverage Metasploit to start the listener. That's why we went here, the multi-handler. But yeah, you can use this on the OSCP as much as you possibly want. The only thing is if you're running exploits from MSF console, then that's something you can only do one time. Yeah. I didn't know that either, Rob, actually. I kind of forgot about that because it's been a while, but I did some Googling beforehand, and I found that through my research. I was like, oh, okay. Because I knew you could use MSF Venom as much as you wanted, but I was like, oh, well, what about like the Meterpreter payload? And they're like, oh, yeah, you can use that as much as you want. You just can't. You can only use like as far as what you're restricted to on MSF console is like the exploits and the recon, like those modules, you can only use once, like on one box. As many times as you want on that one box, by the way, to clarify. But to not confuse you guys, this payload here, this handler here, you can use on as many boxes as you want, So how to prevent exploits from being caught by the firewall antivirus? Okay, well, that's like a pretty loaded question because it really depends on what the firewall is doing and what kind of firewall it is and all that. There's a number of ways. I'll explain a few here. One is egress. I talked about this on another live stream, but one is like egress firewall rules, like filtering, right? So what that is certain ports might be blocked by default by the firewall. So they might have a whitelist of ports that they expect traffic to go through. Typically, these would be common ports, like port 80. They expect web traffic to be going through their network. 53 for DNS, stuff like that, right? Maybe even 21 for FTP, 22 SSH, something like that, right? But if they see something like 4444, like the Metasploit common port, they'll block it, right? Which, if you don't specify the port, it'll default to that 4444 on Metasploit. So one way to get around, those egress firewall rules are to use a common port. So instead of port 1234, I might use port 80 or 443 or something like that, right? That's just one based off of that specific configuration of the firewall, right? But I've also had stuff on the OSCP labs where I would get a Meterpreter shell, I would get my shell Meterpreter shell, like I would get it just like I have it here, but as soon as, literally, after connecting, for 1 second, after the first second it would kick me off the session, I would lose the session. And I had to migrate the process, because you can migrate, if you look at, how do I do this? Now, this is the processes on the system. Oh, yeah. See, I ran this PS command here. I'll show you guys. I ran this PS command, right? I can see all the processes. I can actually type migrate. Every process here has a different identifier, like this number here, that identifies unique identifier to this specific process here. And so if I wanted to migrate to this process, right, I could just do migrate 2620, and then it would migrate there. Now the problem is, it would kick me out after the first second that I connected it. But there's, I would have to refresh myself on this, but essentially you can add options to your listener to tell it to immediately run certain Meterpreter commands. So I put in a Meterpreter command that said, as soon as you get a shell back, migrate to this process. So that way I was able to migrate off of that unstable process before it kicked me out. Because just so you know, right, whatever process we're exploiting, that's where our shell is running. So to give you an example, right, say we exploited Microsoft Word, right? We had our exploit was like a Microsoft Word macro, right? Like a malicious macro that gave us a shell on the system. Our shell is tied to that Microsoft Word process. So what that means is if the user closes Microsoft Word, most likely in that scenario, the user's Microsoft Word, the person we're attacking, his Microsoft Word is going to be like probably hanging. It's like not responding. So it's pretty likely that he's going to close that out and restart it, right? That's just what a natural user would do. The thing is, since our shell is tied to that process, when he does that, we're going to lose our shell. So that's why you need to migrate off to another process. You know, these kind of processes are really good for Windows because these are like Windows processes, and they're probably, you know, you could tie yourself to a Windows process that will stay running as long as the machine's up, you know, if it's like one of the like essential Windows processes. So yeah, that's just something to keep in mind, like especially in a real world scenario as well. If you're doing some like red teaming, stuff like that, you want to have your, if you're writing malware or something, you want to have it migrate to a stable process. But I'm glad it helped. And I'm glad you guys are asking these kind of questions because there's so much to cover, and I don't really know what questions you guys have all the time. So yeah, it's good when you guys ask questions for sure. But yeah, let's get back into this. I'm trying to remember where we're at. So we got this connection here. Oh, right. I want to show you the other way to go about finding exploits here in terms of Windows Privesc. So we got a interpreter shell, which is a really good shell, in part because we can do this. We can background it, and then we can make use of the Metasploit functionality. Now, I'm pretty sure that if you use this functionality on OSCP, this counts as using Metasploit. I'm pretty certain of that. But I'll show you. We can do it the manual way as well, but I just want to show you this way of doing it. I'm not sure where this is, so if we look for suggester, okay, this one right here, this post multi-recon local exploit suggester, I believe is the one. Yeah, that should be it. So we'll type use, and then we got to tell it what session, right? That was session 5 because we've been going out this for a while. So that's what we need to give in the option. I think it's set session. Yep. So we'll do that. And set session 5. And we just run that. And so what it's going to do is it's going to use the interpreter commands to get information on our box. And then based off that information, like, you know, the version of the OS, like the Windows 7 build, 60, whatever, 100 it was. It's going to take that into account and then search the database for known local exploits on that 32-bit Windows version. So it should come back with a number of different options for us. So yeah, we'll see what it has. Normally takes a minute to run because it's got to go through the whole database. And then also, I believe it also tries to predict, whether it'll be vulnerable to, like how certain it is that it's vulnerable. I could be wrong about that, but yeah, then this is something that we could definitely try as well. Anytime you see an exploit DB link, it means it should be on our Kali box already if we use search exploit. So we can, while we're waiting, we can look for that. Where was that? This should be the number here. So while that's running, we can do search exploit. We can look for this number. Yeah, and then we see this here. And yeah, it is a C program. So let's go into exploits, and we will do search exploit -M for mirror, because we're going to copy it to this directory. So we just do it like so. And we'll just rename this because I don't like having it as numbers. So normally when it comes to running local Privesc stuff, there isn't any editing that you'll need to do to the actual exploits because they're meant to be run on the local system, so you don't have to deal with like a connecting to your specific server because you're just running it on that server and it's elevating for you. Yeah, I do wanna cover other topics as well. I know a lot of people are really enjoying the OSCP stuff right now, and I'm going for it as well, which is why a bulk of my content's been on that. But yeah, I definitely do plan on covering other aspects. There's just so much to cover with security, which is like a good and a bad thing, right? It's like good because I'll never run out of content, but it's also tough because like there's so much that I would like to cover for sure. But that's why I like to go off of you guys and see what kind of content you guys want on the channel. So a lot of times, yeah, the people that comment, they're definitely the ones like driving a lot of my content here. You guys are asking questions, things that you want to see. And so, yeah, if you have any content suggestions, definitely let me know and we'll see what we can do. All right, so yeah, we're going to need to run this with the GCC compiler. There should be, I'm trying to see how to, I'm pretty sure you can compile this into executable. I'm like really certain. Let me find my notes on GCC. But yeah, let's see if this completed while I'm reading on that. Oh, okay, it did. It just takes a minute. But yeah, we'll come back to that local one. I wonder if it's in this list. Let's see. This is called AFD sys local priv. Oops. Let's see. So yeah, it gives you some additional information like, oh, this is running, but it wasn't able to be validated, and different stuff like that. So here's where, yeah, there's just like a lot of stuff to check at this point. Yeah, that's why, yeah, Rob, I'll show you the manual way to do it as well. Yeah, IPSec does use, on the Windows boxes, he does use this exploit suggester quite a bit. Yeah, you can use GitHub. Yep. And I've used GitHub on one of the videos before for an exploit. But yeah, back to the IPSec thing. Yeah, he does use that a lot on Hack the Box. But what we would need isn't it? But yeah, all these are like pretty much anything that you see here, right? You can find an exploit outside of Metasploit for this, like a manual way to do it. That's why I'd like to show you a manual way. The manual way is just like finding the exploit, most likely on exploit database, sometimes not. And basically, say this was the exploit that worked. I don't know for a fact this is going to work. It looks like it's going to work, but let's just say this was, right? If we wanted to manually exploit this, we would just need to grab it off of Sursploit, as I did, and then we would need to compile it as a 32-bit executable, and then we would need to transfer that file to the server, and we can run it. Actually, since we have the interpreter shell, it'd be very easy to do the file transfer. But let's see. Yeah, just checking some notes here. I think, not sure which one it is. There's a lot of things to try. We can just try... bypass UAC. We can start trying these and just see what works. That's the only thing about going this route is that you kind of got to brute force it a little bit, unless you know for a fact what's going to work. Set session. I don't think there's any difference between run and exploit, but wait. Okay, I got that session. I think, wait, let me see how to use these. I think that you should just be able to do use and then set session, I do believe. Oh, but maybe we actually have to put our L host and all that. I think I do. Because, yeah, I think it defaulted to other crap. Let's see. Yeah, it did. So we'll just set that really quick. And I always like to change the L port because I'm just used to, like, in real world environments and pretty much every environment outside of CTFs and in some of the more difficult CTFs, they will block 4444. So I pretty much always, change it to something. We need it to be something else though. Well, actually, no, I think we need it to be, do I need to make it the same as before? I think. Okay, yeah, I think this should be good now. Cannot escalate with this module. Okay, let's just try another one then. Let's try that that next one. We'll do this one here. I do remember using this one a few times, and I'm pretty sure this is like a fairly reliable one for a lot of the Windows boxes that are not patched properly. So just so you know, the vulnerability, like the main issue with these, like if they're vulnerable to any of these, that means they're like missing a critical Windows patch, right? If you keep your like Windows systems patched, like current, up to date, then none of these exploits would work on them. The reason they work is because they're running some kind of outdated version of Windows, like they're missing security patches and stuff, which doing recon, you can find out information like that as well. If you just do manual recon, which I could maybe even show some of that, but oh man, this is so annoying that I have to do this every time. Huh. Wait, that should be... What do you mean couldn't validate? Oh, well, I see it's set up correctly there. And that should be... Oh, we lost our session. Oh, that's unfortunate. All right, well, let's start that up again. Use... And let's make sure that it's not... Okay, yeah, this is correct this time. Everything looks good. So we'll run it. And then come back here. But at least we have the one we want to use now, which is this one. I'm just waiting for that little interpreter prompt to come up first. See what you guys are saying. Yeah, I want to do that kind of stuff, like the fun kind of hacking videos, like hacking stuff with duckies and pineapple and all that kind of crazy stuff. I'd like to make that kind of content for sure. Yeah. I think that'd be pretty fun content. But all right, let's background this first. So this is now session 6. So set session 6 and run this. And then how do I think let me see my command to get back to that session. I just need to switch back in there. I think I just type session and the number. What do you mean? I can't remember how to migrate to that session again. Let's see. I should have it in my notes somewhere, hopefully. Let me Google this. There's like little things like this I forget how to do because it's been a while. Let's see. Sessions -I think for interact. Sessions -I 6. Okay, cool. I'll just drop into a shell here. And hopefully it doesn't crash on me. Yeah, you can use Google. You can use anything and other than the stuff they say you can't. Oh man, this is timing out. See, these are the kinds of things that are just like ultra finicky. But as you saw, we ran this successfully. Yeah, the shell died. We actually did run that one successfully, and we probably got NT Authority system access. I'll try it one more time. Because I want to get a good working thing here real quick for you guys. What is there? There should be like an equivalent to a who am I command from interpreter, but I don't know. Let me look up the interpreter commands really quick because I don't think I have that on my notes. Or maybe there's if I just drop into a shell, I can run it and run like a Windows command. Oh yeah, get UID. That's right. That's what we want to run. That's what I should run. So let's do that. Let's try this again. Hold up. We lost our shell, right? Yeah, okay. So we're gonna use exploit multi-handler. And these are the kind of annoyances that you're gonna definitely experience on OSCP and stuff. Or if you don't do OSCP, you'll experience it in CTF at some point for sure. But let's see here. This looks good, so let's run this. Connect. And we'll try for the 7th time, right? Yeah, I'd like to share out my notes with you guys at a certain point. Once I just get some stuff set up, I'd like to get it in a nicer format and stuff. But yeah, I do plan on sharing that out with you guys as well, making that available at a certain point. Hang on, let's see here. If I run this command right now, okay, this is my user. This is the basic user. It's the IIS account because we exploited the web server. That's why we are the web server. But we're going to use this. Oh, oops, we got a background first. Background. Use this. make sure everything's set up correctly. It's not, we gotta migrate this to 7. And now we run it. And then we do sessions, sessions dash I for interact. And then 7. And then get UID. Wait. Okay. Get UID. Okay, there you go. NT authority system. So if you're not aware, this account is essentially the root account when it comes to Windows. So yeah, it took me almost all of an hour. I want to see really quick if I can find this exploit as a local exploit. Right. So let's search for this. And local meaning, not really local, but local meaning. Okay, and when you see rapid 7, that means it's on Metasploit, which, I mean, obviously... Uh-oh, I killed my window. I hope I didn't kill the stream. I accidentally exited out of my stream window. Let me pull that back up. I don't think I killed the stream. I think I just killed the chat on my screen. So let me go back to that, because I can't see what you guys are saying. Okay, cool. Yeah, I got the chat back up again. But yeah, let me look for this, right? So yeah, whenever you see Rapid 7, that's they own Metasploit, so it's just showing you a Metasploit module. But look, see, you can get it off of GitHub. You can get it off ExploitDB as well, so it's probably on SearchSploit. Yep, MS 10.0.15. That's what we're looking at, right? Yeah. So because it's here, yeah, the easiest way, I would take it from the URL right here, this number. This is like the unique identifier for this exploit. Oops, keep doing that. For this exploit on SearchSploit. So you could just do something like SearchSploit, and you just plug in the number, and you find it right here. So that we could just copy this to our local machine. This is a text file though, is the problem. Why is it a text file? Let's see. Some of these manual exploits are a little bit tricky outside of Metasploit. It really depends. You would have to read this in this case to figure this out, why it's like this. I don't know. This is not this. Let's see. This is kind of explaining how to. Some of these, yeah, some of these might not be worth your time if it's like a really complex thing. But another option here is there's this GitHub, right? Well, this is the Metasploit one here. So some of these might be possible, but really difficult outside of Metasploit, as in they wouldn't expect you to do it manually. Or there'd be another easier thing to do manually. So in this case, right, if this was the only local exploit, then they probably wouldn't expect you to do this manually. But this is the process, right? You get what I'm saying? Like, you would look to see, you can find it on ExploitDB or GitHub or something like that. And if we take the example of this one, right, I would just need to compile it, GCC. Let me find the command. GCC exe. I think. Let's see. It would be GCC with maybe just a -o, and you just name it like that. So in our case, let's go back to the exploits, right? Where we grabbed this one last time. GCC is your compiler, because this C file, this is just a text file, a flat text file. C is a compiled language, so we're going to need to compile this into a binary. Now, for Windows, it's going to need to be an executable, right? So the way we would do that, we just do GCC, the file, and then what we want to output it to. So call it something like that, maybe. There's some other flags that we might need to specify to tell it 32-bit architecture and stuff. But I'm not seeing that in my notes. But there might be little, because there's a lot of other different flags you can send it as well. But we try something like this. Looks like there might be some error in how it copied over. So usually when something like that happens, I just copy it from here, which can sometimes, in the case of this one, here we go. Just page down it. I don't know why, but sometimes when you copy from, like when you try to mirror it, there's some issues. So just for the sake of example, really quick. Oh yeah, this is gonna take a minute. That was a lot of text that I copied in this case. Ooh, yeah, I don't know what it did with the formatting. Yeah, this one might be a little bit annoying to show you guys, but I'll just see if I can run this. Yeah, this one's having some issues compiling it, so we'd have to look into the script really in this case, but you get the general idea. You would just compile it and run it. Normally you don't run into issues like that, but it's just one of those things you just got to keep digging into then. But yeah, I hope this one was good. The questions were on point. Awesome to hear what you guys want to know about, because a lot of this stuff is things that I kind of gloss over just because there's so much to this security stuff that it's like hard to know what you guys do or don't know. So it's great to bring that to my attention, and it definitely helps me with coming out with more content for you guys, and shows me like what would be valuable content. And so yeah, thank you guys for watching this episode here, and we will be back of course on Thursday, same time frame, and we'll be starting up a new box, so that'll be pretty exciting. We'll just keep going with this stuff, keep leveling up, man. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next video.